Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am Brian Vaughn, the host of the WSE Lounge, as always. And today I have a very special guest. I've been knowing him for over 15 years. He's a very good friend of mine, and he's a big fan of this show. Without fans like him, this show wouldn't be in existence. And he's told me how much he enjoys the show, and I always wanted to be a guest on the show. So without any further ado, please welcome theater actor, soap insider, wrestling insider, comic book collector, the one and only, they called him in high school, I believe it was the black trench coat man, the one and only, Christopher Wilkerson. Welcome to the show, Christopher.
Hey, how's it going, Brian? Thanks for having me.
Going real good, and you're very welcome. Do you want to be called Topher or Chris or Christopher?
Chris is perfect, man.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah.
So let's give the fans a little history lesson. We met each other. It was outside of Babb Middle School. We were waiting on our rides to get there to pick us up, and we got to talking about I believe it was Monday Night Wrestling. They had the Monday Night Wars back then with Nitro and Raw and going back and forth, and we got to talking about what was going to happen that night on Monday Night Wrestling, on the Raw and Nitro, and we got all excited and everything, and talking about that, and then the next day we would discuss it and everything, and it was a great time.
That was still around the time of the big NWO, black and white and NWO black and red on WCW. So that was an exciting time for local wrestling, and then it was a really exciting time for the WWE as well, because that was right around that Stone Cold Rock era, when they were still the main legends on top of everything back then. So it was some good stuff, man.
It was. You're right. You had the Stone Cold era born, and you had the Rock, and you had D-Generation X, and after they seen the NWO doing what they were doing on the other channel, you had Sting dropping down for the rafters and not talking and pointing bats and dropping people, and I remember at the lunch table we'd be sitting around talking about wrestling and what was going on, and some people looked at us like we was crazy. Said, "What are y'all talking about?" They was crazy.
Oh yeah, but it was really funny back in those days. We would our band class was always wrestling conversations. So it was always there was always a group of kids who were always talking about what happened that Sunday night or that Monday night. Wrestling was really popular then. It's still popular now, but to me, that was the golden age.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'll tell you, I never will forget this, and I don't think you'd mind me saying this. Do you remember Roosevelt Penn?
Say that again.
Roosevelt Penn. Okay, he graduated in the class I was in 2002. I know you graduated in 2003. Well, Roosevelt Penn, when I first met him, it was so funny. He was a big wrestling fan, and he loved Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, he loved Bret Hart down to the T. And if he knew Bret Hart was not going to win, or Bret Hart ended up losing, he was, "I can't believe he lost. I'm mad as can be." I mean, he would get angry. He didn't like when Bret Hart lost, and that was the golden age when Bret Hart was, wrestling and WWE, and then he went over to WCW, and Roosevelt was pretty excited about that. But then whenever he thought Bret Hart was going to lose, that just didn't sit well for Roosevelt, because he didn't like that too much. If he thought that Bret was going to lose, and when he lost, it didn't go too good. And I've told you this plenty of times, Chris. You are a splitting image of Devon Dudley. If they ever make a movie about the Dudley boys and they want a younger Devon Dudley to get in there, I know you can go on there and you can say, "Oh, my brother, testify," like Devon. Yeah, tell him to go get the tables too. And speaking of that Attitude Era, though, the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars, this past Sunday, I don't know if you heard the news or not, but this past Sunday, we saw a legend retire from professional wrestling, The Undertaker, as he took off the gloves and the hat and the trench coat, and then he gave his wife Michelle McCool a kiss, and then he raised his hand to the fans. And I tell you what, that was pretty emotional. I mean, but the Undertaker, I know he had a lot of problems with his hips, and I know he's got some surgeries that he has to have soon, and that would require him not to wrestle anymore. So I think it was a fitting way for the dead man Mark Calloway to say goodbye to the industry.
No, I thought he went out like like the legend that he is. It was, from I remember first encountering the Undertaker in the '90s. I didn't have cable, but they had the WWF at the time. It was the commercial. Well, they had the Saturday morning show. So I remember the Undertaker and Paul Bearer being two of my favorite wrestlers from that time, and man, it was deep seeing them walk away like that. It was human. It was a very human moment, and I thought that was really nice, fitting way to say goodbye to the fans, and also say, to let his wife know, thanks for being there for me. And she was right there waiting on him. So I was really excited. I was really excited to see him walk away. It was saddening, but it was exciting at the same time. So, man, good stuff.
Yeah, I think it would, God rest his soul, I think it would have even been even more awesome if Percy Pringle, which is Paul Bearer, could have, shared in that moment. And I don't know if you got to catch did you get to see all of WrestleMania, or just part of it, or hear about it, or how'd you hear about it?
I got to see the highlights of it.
Okay.
I had a chance to watch it this go around, because also on Sunday was the Walking Dead finale.
Oh yeah, I not to switch conversations, but I heard some people on Facebook saying something about. Now I don't watch The Walking Dead, but I heard some people saying for some reason the seasons were exciting, and then all of a sudden this season they said they lost interest or something. I don't know what they was talking about, but.
Well, I think, and for anybody watching who's a fan of The Walking Dead, spoiler alert, I'm just letting people know that right now. But this season said goodbye to a couple characters who were part of Rick's group, his main core group. They were brutally murdered by the villain of the season, Negan. So a lot of people said they were going to stop watching because of that. They're really upset because of that. But being a Walking Dead's comic fan, it's something that most fans expected. We kind of knew that was coming. Now it was anybody is a fan and they're watching, hopefully, you keep watching until you watch for season 8. Because season 8 is gonna be big. It's gonna be a lot of fun to see. I think they got a really good cast. It's just gonna be a great season. So.
Wow. You heard it, fans. A spoiler alert, and you was talking about characters being killed off, and fans being upset. Who knows, fans? They could do like Days of Our Lives and have everybody on a stranded island somewhere, still be alive in the next season, and then The Walking Dead comes back and goes, oh, they're still alive. They're being held captive by somebody. I mean, Days of Our Lives have done that I don't know how many times. I remember they killed off all the main characters on there one time, and everybody thought they was dead, and then it ended up being on a stranded island somewhere. Everybody was still alive. I mean, so, it could happen. I mean, you don't know. I mean, so.
That would be a big soap opera opening for it.
Oh, yeah. And then just have the Walking Dead and meets Sons of Anarchy or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'll tell you, fans, if you're a fan of that, then that was a spoiler alert. Now I got to tell you, there was a show that I used to like, but it went off the air, and it was entertaining to me and interesting. That was True Blood, that came on HBO,
Right.
and I used to my ex had got me into that, and I used to watch that. Every time it come on, on HBO. I said, well, I gotta get HBO to see this True Blood, and I got into that, and it was really good. But the ending of it, I believe it was Ramona's fiance had got killed off the show. So I mean, it was a good, a good ending to it and everything, and I mean, and it's like I got a guy coming on that he's coming on the 14th of April this month. He played on Sons of Anarchy. If anybody watched Sons of Anarchy, he played the White Knight. His name is Vic Stagliano, I believe it is. But he's also been in Home Improvement and as a guest star in what's the name? The USA TV show Blue Collared.
Yes.
Yeah. He's been in that show. I mean, it might be Covert Affairs, but he's a guest star on there, and a lot of shows. But I'll be announcing that at a later date. But all you fans watching, you now know he's coming, so you can all get pumped up and get excited. Okay, but back to the wrestling discussion we were having, because I know you've been watching a long time. You're a wrestling insider, among other stuff, but the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Martin and Robert Gibson. Ricky Martin, a former guest of the WSE Lounge, he was put into the WWE Hall of Fame with Robert Gibson, and I thought that was long overdue for those two guys to be in the Hall of Fame, and one of the greatest tag teams of all time. They're still, if you go to any indie shows that are around Georgia and they're on the card, you got to see it, because those guys, even though they started in the 70s or 80s, those guys are still going strong and still rocking and rolling. I mean, they're running around the ring like spring chickens. I mean, it's amazing.
No, I always get excited for the people they add to the Hall of Fame every year. I was trying to remember, but there's somebody else I was looking at, and they were long overdue. It's always
Kurt Angle?
exciting. How's that?
Was it Kurt Angle?
I believe so.
Or Teddy Long?
Well, it's just, I always get excited because it's like they always surprise you with who they're including or who they're going to add to the Hall of Fame that year. You kind of have an inkling, because either they'll show up on the shows, or it'll be little, be subtle hints to that person's era throughout that season before WrestleMania. And then when you see the ceremony, you find out about it prior to. It's always makes you feel good because it brings back those memories of when that person was wrestling.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And Kurt Angle was actually came back last night on Raw. He's the new general manager of Monday Night Raw. So it's real, folks. But I ain't gonna say what he says. But it is real. He's back. But anyway, so we've talked about wrestling and everything, and so now we're gonna move on to the next topic. And the next topic, and this was not on the poster, but I just gotta say that I thought it was funny. You had this thing going on in high school when you would walk around with that black trench coat, and you kind of gave tribute to those of Sting or Undertaker or any of the other people out there, and in the wrestling business that wore trench coats that I can remember. But what come up with that? I mean, what come up? How did you come up with that idea? I mean, well, I actually said what come up with that. I wasn't gonna say what's up with that like Hurricane Hams, but how did you come up with that idea? I mean, just a trend that started, or what?
I just always wanted a long black trench coat. I saw a movie years ago, and the main character had a long black trench coat. I think that was 10th grade year that I got it, but I thought my dad got me a trench coat as a gift, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I finally had a long black trench coat. Like you said, I've always been into comics and different things, so it was kind of in my mind, my comic persona come to life with this long black trench coat. The only thing that was missing was the utility belt and different things, and the skin tight superhero costume. But it was my trench coat, and then that was the era. That was the time where a lot of people, TV wise, acting wise, however you want to put it, a lot of people kind of had their black on black things from the main character of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer spinoff, Angel, to
The Crow.
To the Crow, who was one of my favorite movie characters and played by one of my favorite martial artists, the late Brandon Lee. Even right down to The Matrix coming out in '99. So there was a lot of reasoning behind wearing, just having a long black trench coat. And it's funny, I still have it. Definitely don't wear it as much, but another piece of that was Johnny Cash. I love Johnny Cash, and I always loved the song "The Man in Black."
Oh yeah.
I always felt like it matched who I was personality-wise, and so it just kind of stuck. I still have that coat. I'm looking at it now. It's hanging up, but don't wear it. Don't wear it nearly as often. I think the last time I wore it was 2 Halloweens ago.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's become a part of costume versus a part of wardrobe.
Well, I'll tell you something funny, and this is a rib on myself. And everybody out there don't know what a rib is. I'm not talking about a rib from your body. I'm talking about a joke, a laugh, a rib. But anyway, one time, this is about a year and I think about 2 years ago. I said, oh, I'm gonna make some pictures, and I'll see how they look. And I think I even put them on Facebook. I don't know if they're still on Facebook or not, but I had took my kindergarten graduation suit. And I put it on, and I looked all funny looking because I had my graduation suit on, and I was like, this thing's still kind of fits me a little bit. I'm like, wow, you know. And then I put on my graduation outfit, you know, and you know, of course, that still fit me a little bit, but you know, I mean, I kind of like a dork or a doofus, you know, with that little kindergarten graduation outfit on.
Right.
But
That's funny.
yeah, but I'm gonna tell you a joke here, and then we're gonna go into the next topic, cause this show, anything goes, whatever, you know. So we ain't got no time frame. So okay, here we go. This lady goes to her refrigerator. She forgets whether or not she's getting the milk out. She forgets whether or not she's putting it in or, you know, getting it out. And then this other lady's on a set of stairs, and she forgets whether or not she's going up or down on the stairs. Well, both of them get together, and they go to their friend, and they said, hey, you know what happened to us? And they tell their friend what happened to them. And she says, you know what? I hadn't got that bad yet, knock on wood. Can one of y'all get the door? So, I mean, so that's one you'll have to tell your students to, Chris.
Yes.
You have to tell them that. But let's go over to the next topic now. The next topic is soap operas, because I know you're a soap opera insider. You've been watching General Hospital and some of the other soap operas for a long time.
Oh yeah. I think my love of soap opera started with my grandmother. You know, God rest her. She was a huge soap opera fan. So every day at a certain time, she had her story, and her stories became my stories. So it was really funny. When I started school, I remember. In school, there's always that big gap. So when you get home as a student, all the soap operas and things are going off. But it never failed. I was always able to pick up where I left off over the summer. So it was never too hard to catch up. But my two go-tos were always Dallas and
Knox Landing?
well, Dallas and One Life to Live.
Oh, One Life Left, okay.
I always loved One Life to Live. God Light was a third for me. And I miss that show being on, all those shows, but the God Light, the villains of the soap operas in general are always my favorite characters. So.
Well, I gotta tell you a funny story. And folks, if you got a question or comment for Chris, just leave it in the comment bar below, and I'll direct the questions over to him and comments over to him. Just leave it in the comments bar below. I gotta tell you a funny story. Speaking of the soap operas, when I was in elementary school, when I would check out of school sick, when I wasn't feeling well, I would come home, and this is what got me started in soap operas. I'd come home, I'd turn on TV, and I'd see yours truly, Roger Hayworth, Todd Manning, and Robert S. Woods, who played Bo Buchanan. I would see him get out of jail as the criminal, and Bo jumping that fence and going after Todd Manning. And I tell you what, Bo and Todd, they were good at cat and mouse, Tom and Jerry, the crook, the villain, and the hero, and it was so fascinating to me just to see them going back and forth, and Todd Manning getting out and everything, and Bo Buchanan going after him, and I just loved them. I think that they had such a wonderful chemistry together, and I think if the stars aligned right in the sky, we've already seen Nora Buchanan make a guest appearance over on General Hospital, so maybe like Olivia told Nora, which she was referring to Bo, she said, tell that handsome cowboy I said, hey, when she told Nora that before she left, she was referring to Bo Buchanan. So maybe Bo Buchanan will come over to General Hospital, and we can have some kind of Franco meets Bo reunion or something. I mean, because as you know, Chris, Prospect Parks, they don't own the rights to All My Children One Life Live anymore. It was ABC won the rights, and now they can bring all those, any of those All My Children One Life Live characters back. So I think it's really, really interesting that they can do that.
I do too. I thought they, I really have to say that Prospect Park revival of One Life to Live and All My Children, I really enjoyed both of those. Just to see those characters come back, especially we got to see kind of a mini resolution to the Todd Manning, Victor Lord Jr. Storyline, and then they left us on a cliffhanger again. But there were some really great additions to that cast. So I'm really hoping that they do bring those characters back into the fold on General Hospital. There's also, I was reading somewhere, there was talk about a possible One Life to Live All My Children primetime series, which I don't know if that's just speculation or rumor or if there's actually some work being done in that. But that would be really nice to see some of those soap operas come back as primetime series, and it's happened. Dallas had its revival back in 2012 after being off the air.
I remember that. That was good.
Yeah, it went off the air in 1991, and they brought it back with Larry Hagman still at the helm as J.R. Ewing, and did a magnificent job of transitioning or changing of the guard, giving the baton to the younger actors. So it would be really nice to see that happen with some of the soaps that are no longer on TV, but they still have a large fan base. So hopefully, hopefully that does happen.
Yeah, I agree, and I was heartbroken when Larry Hagman, passed away. He was such a wonderful character as J.R. Ewing. That's a TV icon that'll go down in history, just like Andy Griffin and Doris Roberts from Everybody Loves Raymond, and the One Life to Live All My Children revival. I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it when it was on ABC. And it's kind of sad though, because a lot of some of those characters from All My Children, have now gone on, like David Canary, who played Adam Chandler. I mean, he was one of a kind. And then you had what is her name? It was Ace's wife, Renee. Renee passed away, and that was sad. And Michael, Nathaniel, somebody, I forgot his last name. He was Michael McBain on One Life to Live.
Right.
Yeah, and Nathaniel Marston. That's who it was. Nathaniel Marston. But that was that was very bad. And but you was talking about new characters, and let's talk about new characters for a minute, because on One Life to Live, we did see a new character in the form of Corbin Blue, who was known for High School Musical days. So we've seen him in the soap opera world, and I thought that was very interesting. And we also got to see J-Wo from what was the name of that show? Jersey Shore. Yeah, we got to see her. So.
Which I thought those were two really good additions to the show. Also, the new actress that played Destiny is now playing Mary Jane in the newest Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man: Homecoming. So it's
wow.
Yeah, so you have some shifting of actors and actresses that are really they're moving on to other projects, which is the ending of the One Life to Live revival. So it was great to see him doing more stuff, but I just love to see those new characters. I wanted to see them do so much more. So I'm hoping that we don't just get left in the lurch with wondering. I think it ended, the series ended and you found out that Corbin Blue's character was a member of this secret cabal that captured Victor Lord Jr. and Todd Manning was running from him or trying to fight him.
Yeah.
So it was a nice cliffhanger they left us on.
Yeah, and another thing, I hope that they somehow can, if they do that, I hope they somehow can give a answer or conclusion to the, I don't know, I'm sure you've probably seen it, whenever Clint, of all people, got mad at Natalie, and he said, I did all this, and he started raising Cain and cussing, and I was like, oh my goodness. And so he was hauled away too, so I mean, that would be interesting to see too, what happened with the Clint, I mean, after he was taken off, I mean, unless he's going to show up in Port Charles and be a gunslinger and fight the mob, I mean, Maurice Menard, I mean, Sonny Corinthos, he's been doing that a long time, like you said on the show, and he enjoys that, and he's a wonderful advocate for bipolar. That they bring across so well on the show. They did it with Morgan, and they've been doing it with Maurice Menard, and anybody out there who's got bipolar, that's definitely a show to listen to with Maurice Menard, who deals with that every day.
That was a really good, it was a very good episode. He's been an actor that I've been following for years, just, seeing the different things that he's been doing. So, and being a psychology major, it's really great to see, to listen to someone who's experiencing that and who knows, who's really focusing a lot of attention to bipolar. So I was really impressed by that show. I was really glad to listen to that broadcast.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I appreciate that. Thank you. I didn't even know that you were a psychology major. I didn't know that. So that's another topic that we now can go into. Tell everybody how you got into being a psychology major and what it takes to be one.
Oh well, I've always loved. I'm in education now. I'm an engineering teacher for elementary students,
Mm-hmm.
which is really exciting. But about 15, not even 15 years. I always say 15, but 17 years ago, I started working at an after-school program at Lake City. And my mom had worked at the school, and I was helping out in her class. And long story short, they asked me to come in and be one of their first student aides. So I ended up doing that all the way up until the time I graduated. And then after that, I thought I was going to be an actor, and I tried acting as a major in college, but then my heart ended up going to still working with students, working with kids, and just giving them the things that they need to just be great people. So I ended up taking a few psychology classes and fell in love with it. But that was the journey. That was the beginning of it. I graduated from Clayton State in 2011 with my Bachelor's of Science in Psychology and Human Services. And I also made it a focus of mine to use that to work with kids. So not just knowing how to teach kids, but also knowing what's going on in their lives and what's going on in their homes, and just trying to pull all that together so that not only I'm teaching them, but their parents are working with me, and their community is working with them. But there's so many different things that can affect the life of a kid, and just being able to understand where they're coming from and what they're thinking and what bothers them and their fears. It helps a person. It helps any teacher, I think, even more effective when they're working with them. So it's been, like I said, it's been a passion of mine for 17 years now. Hopefully, it'll be a passion of mine for as long as I'm alive. So.
Well, that's very, very humbling and wonderful that you do that, and I know without a doubt that your mom will be very proud of you, for doing that and helping out the kids and everything. I know that I never got the honor or privilege to meet your mom, but I know from Facebook that your mom was a very godly woman and a very spiritual person, from seeing pictures of her on Facebook and hearing about her, and I know she would be proud of you, man. I know she would.
I appreciate that, brother. She was a one of a kind lady. So I try to, the things I do now, I try to. A lot of it's in her memory. A lot of it's in just to continue the work that she started. So, it makes it even more. It makes it even more worthwhile.
And you're very welcome. And something I want to ask you, being a psychology major, as you know in character form on General Hospital, Kevin Collins, he plays a character of counseling and stuff like that. Being a psychology major, do you actually have the hypnosis classes where you hypnotize a kid to try to find out what's going on, or you don't do that, or?
Hypnosis is, don't get me wrong, some people use, there are places that use hypnosis, but it's not something you learn, it's not something you learn in school.
Okay. Not something you learn overnight.
Right.
Okay. Because it would be bad if you had like the hypnosis thing. You said, okay, I'm going to hypnotize you. And you hypnotize the kid, and then they froze, and they said, unfreeze them. Oh, I don't know how. I didn't learn. I just guessed. And they had to call somebody up to, unfreeze them. But that would be bad. But I mean,
No, it's really funny. A lot of shows use hypnosis as a plot device. It's really cool to see it happen on TV. But if it worked like that in real life, then
yeah.
I think you and I both would be billionaires.
Oh yeah, well Catherine Hickland, she does that hypnosis in real life. At these,
right.
Yeah, she goes to does these different shows and hypnotizes people. You see videos of them on stage and stuff, and I'm like, wow, that would be kind of scary. I don't know if I want to go up there and be hypnotized, I mean, it would be.
But no, it's really cool. There is therapy that uses hypnosis, but it's a lot different from what you see on television.
Yeah.
It's not, but again, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see people do it on stage, and I definitely love to see it on TV because it makes you wonder, okay, what are they going to make them do now? What's happening?
Yeah. And it's kind of like if like in the magic, the magic tricks they do on TV. They had this show come on one time, and they said, well, we're going to tell everybody how we do this and how we do that. And then when you go to see it, you're like, well, I already know how they do this, and, then you're basically ruined because the magic trick's already been told to you.
Right.
And so in your field of psychology, do you deal with all kinds of different elements of diseases and stuff, or do you just deal with you have a certain range you deal with, or what do you do?
Let me clarify.
Okay.
I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, but I'm a teacher by trade, so I work
Okay.
with, I do really cool, well, I call it amazing, but we do very cool programs that teach science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics, or STEAM in short, to students who are anywhere between kindergarten through fifth grade. I work in fifth grade, but it's a curriculum that goes all the way to 12th grade, and it's basically to kind of get students back into the mode of making things and creating, becoming their own entrepreneurs or becoming their own business people when they become adults. They start doing these things and changing their world now. So it's really that's where I feel that's where I've used my psychology background, more so to just understand the students that I work with a lot better as a teacher versus just kind of shooting off of the hip or just kind of assuming I know what's going on with my students.
Okay, I get what you're saying. You're preparing. You use your psychology background to prepare your students now for the future, so that they can know and be ready. And you also use it to find out what's going on with the students. What kind of problems they're having and stuff like that, and you try and help them out. Now, do you have any kind of certain mechanisms that you use? And what I mean by that, do you have them to like draw, or do you have them to play some kind of puzzle? Do some kind of puzzle or something, and then you talk to them and say, "Hey, so and so, can you tell me about this, or what's going on with you?" Or do you have anything you do like that, or no?
I think for me, it's just asking them a lot of questions, and I think one thing, for us growing up, the teachers that we remember were those teachers that tried to understand us as a person, or as we say, get on our level. I just try to meet the students where they are. Learning about the things that they like. We have a project that I use in a lot of my classes as an introduction. Whenever we get a new quarter, whenever a new quarter rolls around, we get a new group of students. I have my students create name tags that they draw different things that tell me about who they are. And then they can make them as elaborate as they like, or they can make them as simple as they like, but it has to have a piece of who they are in it, and then they get to present. So they learn some presentation skills. So it's a way for them to get used to presenting things as an entrepreneur, or as a student in general. We start as early as kindergarten, but they get used to presentation and they get used to critique at a very early age. But then they're also not afraid to share who they are with somebody else. So I use techniques like that. I wouldn't say techniques. I just use things like that to let them feel free, or let them feel okay with telling someone else about who they are, celebrating their individuality, and then at the same time celebrating the things that they have alike about, things that are similar, that they have in common with somebody else, and things that are different, or that they don't have in common, things that make them amazing people that they are. So that's one of the projects I use to do that.
Well, that is very, very fascinating, that you're able to do that, and that you have the ability to do that. And now, are you still? Because I know you've told me, probably a million times. You told me one time you was at, I think, Clayton State teaching, and then you were somewhere else in Atlanta teaching. So, are you still in Atlanta teaching, or you're?
Yes, I'm still in Atlanta teaching.
Okay.
I teach for a really cool school called Drew Charter, which is in the neighborhood that I grew the same area, now they have kids, and it makes it easier to connect to those students because they're literally my kids in a way.
Well, I think it's I think it's awesome that you're able to do that. Like I said a while ago, and I think it's great that you're in your own neighborhood, in your own neck of the woods to do that. You're a comic book collector. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's see. Can you see me right here? I got my Superman shirt on right here today.
Yes.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, I was mentioning that earlier. It's a good Superman shirt.
Yeah, they had a retro rack over at Walmart and had Superman and the DuckTales and Rocky and all them. So, so comic books. How long you been collecting comic books, and what kind of comic books do you collect?
Oh, geez, I've been collecting comics as long as I can remember. I remember there was a store in Forest Park that's no longer there called the News Center.
Oh Lord, yes, I used to go in there. I used to go in there all the time, man. I used to get all the wrestling magazines that guy had.
Yeah, I love that store.
Now, do you remember the guy? I don't want to interrupt you. I want to let you know before I forget.
Okay.
You remember the guy that ran the show? I mean, not the show. I don't know why I said show. This is a show, but I ain't talking about that show. You remember the guy that ran the store? That he had the real big thumb. Well, I found out a few years ago he passed away.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened to him, but he was really really neat.
He was. We would. I remember when I first met him. I guess he thought I was just coming in there, just a kid coming in there with no money.
Yeah.
Or I know he had some instances of some kids coming in to some local kids taking things out of the store. So we would bump heads a lot at first, but then he and I found out when we both fell in love with Star Trek Enterprise, and we became instant friends. Like he was a great dude, and I would talk about comics with him and exchange stories, and we'd always compare Star Trek to the original Battlestar Galactica. So he ended up being a really cool guy to know. But I mean, and that's where it started. I would go in that store and I would pick up. They would have comics that were used and that would just be in bulk, and I would pick up a stack of those of any kind, and I think they were a few cents to buy them. So every week I would go in, pick up a stack, and start building my collections. I'd pick up some new ones here and there, and ended up falling in love with a lot of the Marvel comics because of Iron Man. I loved Iron Man as a kid, so I would collect all of the Iron Man comics. Then it turned into collecting Captain America comics. Then I found one of my favorite superheroes, Black Panther. So I started collecting those comics. But right around the end of the 90s, there was DC had this really cool thing because they were trying to get Superman fans to come back to DC. And they changed Superman's powers. So they gave him a new suit, and he had these electricity-based powers. You should have seen it, like the fan mail that would come in about about the change of Superman and his new blue and white energy suit and his blue color. Like it was, people were mad. They were living, and the only thing I can think of is how cool it was that they were changing Superman when I started reading Superman comics again. So just to kind of see different changes in comic history. I always love how they change superhero costumes, or with DC, how the universe divides and there's big wars that the universe universe destroys itself and then it gets recreated, and now you have all these new origins for heroes. It's the thing that keeps me coming back to comic books.
So let me ask you this: Superman, you said he had electrical power, so they never did put that into the movies, did they? Because I remember he did he had the eye ray where he could burn right through you, and then he had the freezing, he could blow the breath of air and freeze you, and the fast flying skills. But he never. I don't think they ever had that in the movies, did the electricity?
No, that's it's really funny. They recently revisited it. They brought it back in the comics through. If anybody's any comic fans, there's a new comic called Superwoman, and it kind of tells the chronicles of Lana Lang as a superhero. So she has the same powers as energy-based Superman. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. She even has a similar suit to Superman's energy suit, and she turns red. So her suit is red and white versus blue and white. But
wow.
for the Superman, there was a limited. I think the intention for the turn of the century was to make it into an ongoing thing. Let's see if we can change Superman's powers and see if people will like them. But once they got all the fan feedback, so it became a part of the Millennium Giant storyline, and it was because of the Millennium Giants that he got these powers, because something happened on Earth and he needed to be a focal point for it. So it was a really interesting storyline. He even split up into two Supermen, so there was a Superman Red and a Superman Blue, which they had done before, but this version was really interesting. And then I remember when he turned into Clark Kent in this energy version of Superman, he was just a regular human. He had no super abilities, but then when he became Superman, then he had all these energy powers. It was crazy.
Wow. So let me ask you this: Do you now? I love this show. Do you watch Supergirl?
I do like Supergirl. It's I'm really I've been a fan of it for started watching it this past season. So I'm catching up on the back end.
So you didn't see it when it was on CBS when it first started?
No. So I've been catching up on Netflix, which I'm very impressed with it. I think they've done for me, it's really cool to see not another Superman story. You actually have a story about one of the greatest members of the Superman family, Supergirl, and now she's going through her trials, and she's developing as a superhero, and I think that's something you don't get to see a lot of times in a lot of stories about Superman. You kind of get a taste of Supergirl, but you really don't get the full story behind her. So this is a really cool series.
Yeah, and I know my friend. Now I don't watch it now. I used to back in the day. Now when it had the original Flash, I used to watch the original Flash that also played on One Life to Live before it went off the air. But I used to watch it back in the day. Yeah, Dawson's Creek. I used to watch that back in the day, Flash, and the Lois and Clark. The Adventures of Superman. I used to watch that. But the Smallville and Flash, I don't know. I just can't really get into that too much. Like Smallville, I never could get into that too much. And I watched Vampire Diaries for a little bit, but I couldn't really get into that a whole lot. But Supergirl now, I like that, and I also like the show. I don't know if you watch it now, NCIS Los Angeles. Now that's an awesome show too. If you've seen that, and I hated when that guy passed away. The older gentleman that was the agent. I thought. What was his name? Raj? Was it Agent Raj?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was Miguel Ferreira that played him.
Yeah,
He was a good actor. He was a good actor.
Yeah.
And every time my dad would see it, he'd say, "There's Dragnet," but come to find out it wasn't Dragnet. I got a question down here at the. My mom has asked a question. She says, "Out of all the many things that you were involved in, which do you enjoy the most?"
For me, it's the teaching. I love, it's like I said earlier, I love working with students. I always loved it when people would take things that they learned and passed on to me. And to be able to do that to another generation. I think every generation before us has always had the job to make us better. And, to look at what's coming next, and to look at the students, the things they come up with and the ideas they have, to know that you're educating, someone who could be the next Einstein, or someone who could be the next George Washington Carver, or Frederick Douglass, or any great person. To know that you're possibly educating that person. It's exciting to me, and it's also, it's a great responsibility. It's like I said, a student knows, or a student you can think about it, and you can remember your great teachers.
That's
Mr.
right.
Whitfield, he's one of my greatest influences as an educator. Mr. Hines at Bath, another great influence. I think it's really funny. I'm the teacher at the school that some kids will probably say I'm the mean teacher. I remember thinking that, but then looking back, those teachers were the ones that made the best impact on me. I got a list of them.
What about Mr. Burns? Did you ever have Mr. Burns?
I didn't have Mr. Burns.
Did you ever hear of Mr. Burns?
I did. I remember a lot of students talking about Mr. Burns.
I got to tell you, Mr. Burns. Now he's on Facebook, but I think he hasn't been on in a while. But Mr. Burns, he absolutely loved professional wrestling. He watched it every Monday night. Whenever I'd come in the class, he'd say, "Woo, Ric Flair, woo!" Like that. Do the whoa and talk about Ric Flair and stuff. He loved Ric Flair, and he absolutely loved wrestling. And he was the biggest wrestling fan out of teachers I ever seen in my life. I mean, he just loved it. He talked about it. He would go up with students, and sometimes he would do the strut like Ric Flair and do the the whoa and talk about Ric Flair. And I mean, it was fascinating to to have a teacher into all that. And I'm glad you brought up Mr. Whitfield, because I was going to bring him up. Mr. Whitfield, after I graduated in 2002, he was he influenced me so much that I made a rare appearance at Forest Park High School. Not a lot of people know about this rare appearance because it was kind of under the radar. I didn't want anybody to really see me much, but I went to his drama class. In his drama class, there was Misty Emberson, who I believe you graduated with, and Sarah Wheeler, who is now, let's say, Sarah, that you graduated, I think. Yeah, Sarah House now. Yeah, her name is now Sarah House. And there was a few others in there and I think you were there too, wasn't you? You was in that class too, wasn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, I forgot you was in that class. I remember you was in that class, but I didn't know you was in that particular class. Anyway, he told me, he said, when you get here now, he said, sneak in. I said, okay. So I sneaked in and surprised everybody. I said, what are you doing here? And I said, I showed up with Mr. Whitfield to see how y'all's class is going stuff. So I sat through the whole class, and then the bell rang. He said, okay, when the bell rings, get out of here before the bell rings so nobody see you. And then I'm walking down the walking down the sidewalk, leaving, and this girl that used to know me. I don't even know what her name is. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you if you gave me 1,000 names. I couldn't tell you what her name was because I don't remember. But she said, huh? She said, I know you, and I just kept walking, you know. So, but she was like, what's he doing here, you know? But you know, it was fun, and Mr. Whitfield, you know, he was really really awesome, and you know, before we get into our last topic about, you know, you acting and everything and theater and stuff, I'll tell you a little bit of the story, and a few people know this, few people don't, but you know, I had my heart set on being in a drama play, and you know, it was all lined up, it was all set up. I was supposed to be this lawyer in the drama play, and I was supposed to pretend like I was drinking or something. And I had this all in my mind. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be cool. Well, play practice come around, and there I am, and there's about 2 other people. I was like, well, where is everybody? So then about 2 or 3 practices later, Jeff Whitfield said, I'm sorry folks, but not enough people showed up to practice, so the whole thing's been canceled. I was like, oh my goodness. So that never came about, and I never was a lawyer, and I never did pretend to drink at the Performing Arts Center where it was supposed to take place. That never happened because not enough people showed up for practice. But anyway, I know you've had your time at acting, Chris. You know, in theater. You know, I remember seeing you in school with the Jedi sticks. I don't know what you call them. The swords, the Jedi sticks.
The lightsabers?
Yeah, the lightsaber. Yeah, I remember seeing you with them on stage, and you were going back and forth fighting somebody, and then you were, and then another one. I think you played. It's like you played a version of Sherlock Holmes or something in one of them, didn't you? You had the little pipe in your mouth, and you had on a hat and stuff.
That might not have been me. I know I did a lot of Shakespeare stuff in high school.
Okay.
And I played a ghost. I ended up playing a ghost in one of the plays. I was a singing Romeo in one play.
Oh.
With some of the we would do Shakespeare in the Park as a part of our Shakespeare productions for the year in drama. So one of the things we would do is we would have different plays or different vignettes, which are shorter plays or shorter stories. One of them was a singing Romeo. We did drama club or high school drama acting was fun. I mean, it was just opportunity to be somebody different. And you know, as long as I can think of it, I've always loved acting as a craft. I thought it was so cool to see someone in a show or a movie as one character, and then you see them somewhere else as somebody else, and they're playing it completely different. But I'm trying to think. The first time I got into it was elementary school, where another great teacher, Miss Mobley.
I hadn't heard that name in a long time.
Well, this was a DeKalb County teacher. I was in.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, it seemed like we had a Miss Mobley where I went to. Okay.
Probably. No, she was our school music teacher, and we would always do these. She was in charge of the school plays, and we would have these awesome elementary school plays, and I always ended up auditioning for them and ended up getting a part in them. But that was a doorway to be to just start acting. So it's something I have I'm doing a podcast that will be starting pretty soon, and one of the things that's a part of that podcast, there'll be different characters all played by me. So,
Oh, that'd be interesting. Now, where can the fans check this out at?
well, this podcast will be called the Tech Master Lounge, and one of the first broadcast will be posted next week. It'll be centering on Back to the Future.
Oh.
And time travel and movies in general. So it's a little nerdy venture. I'm a big nerd, as you know, if anybody's been listening, they can tell. But it's talking a little bit about everything sci-fi related, and then science related in general. So there'll be some shows where we'll talk about some of the sci-fi movies and television shows that are out. And then there'll be some shows where we tie some things into real life. So a lot of the new technologies that are coming out, a lot of the new sciences, even some of the bigger things like what really happened to the dinosaurs and the formation of the planet. So just some really cool things like that. But the first broadcast, it'll be a Thursday broadcast. So every Thursday night at 5 o'clock, the new episode will be posted starting this week. So stay tuned.
That sounds good. So is that going to be from Blog Talk or YouTube or?
I'm looking at a YouTube broadcast right now.
Okay. Well, that'd be great.
It's in the final stages. The first couple shows have been recorded. Now it's just a medium of putting it out there. But stay tuned. I'll make sure that you get the information for it to share with the viewers and the listeners.
Well, thank you. That sounds very interesting. I look forward to seeing that. You know, I really do, and I think it'd be great. And you said it was called the what lounge now?
The Tech Master Underground.
Tech Master Underground Lounge, folks, and that will be premiering every Thursday, starting this Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And who knows, maybe the Tech Underground Lounge may meet the WSE Lounge one day and we'll have a little horror flick. I don't know. You never know. Got another question from a fan, Harold, which you know Harold very well. Harold says, what is your favorite comic book?
Oh, wow. Like I said, I've always been to Superman, but it's really funny. Most recently, I've gotten into the IDW Back to the Future series, which is, it's slowly become my favorite comic series. They took different bits and pieces from the movies and they've made it into an ongoing series, which is, so you have your main characters, Doc, Marty, Jennifer, Einstein the dog, but even the best movie villain of all time, in a comedy movie, Biff Tannen. So you have all these characters back in the Back to the Future comic series, and it starts off where the movies left off. So the brand new stories right now. There's an ongoing story arc about who is the real Marty McFly, and there's a lot of I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but spoiler alert if you haven't seen Back to the Future. In the first one, as the original Marty McFly comes back, he sees another version of himself leaving to go to 1955, just after Doc gets shot. So he's wondering, Marty is having this existential crisis of, I'm not the real guy because that guy's gone and I took over his life, and what if he comes back? So it's a really good series, a really good story arc. And then there's another arc that they have currently about Biff Tannen after he took the sports almanac and used it exciting to see that, see those stories unfold. Another series that I've really loved over the years is the Black Panther series. I really, for me, it's really, it's, and this is being quite honest. In comic books, there's not a lot of heroes that look like me. And to have a hero who's been around since, since the late 60s, early 70s, who he's articulate, he's probably the richest man in the world, and he's smart, if not smarter than Tony Stark or any of the big brains in the Marvels. To have that character as a king in Africa, and then as one of the world's greatest superheroes, I've always just loved that series. He's a great fighter. He's a great tactician, so he comes up with all these elaborate plans and different things to save the day, and he's one of the senior members of the Avengers. So I'm really excited that a movie about him is coming out pretty soon. So I hope that answers your question, Harold.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was very interesting, and you were very interesting to listen to talk, and I believe you told me that my broadcast of the WSE Lounge inspired you to try and start your own podcast, and I believe you're gonna make it a long way. I mean, you got the voice, you got the knowledge for the comic books and the philosophy, and you got the voice for all of it, and the expertise, and I think you're going to go a long way with this podcast thing coming out this Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I mean, and once again, you said it's called Tech Underground. Tech Master Underground. That's another cheap pop, everybody. Tech Master Underground this Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And no, I'm not Mick Foley, but that's cheap pop. Remember that, cheap pop. But anyway, Tech Master Underground Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to drop on Facebook, and it's going to be on YouTube. He's going to do it on YouTube and put it on to Facebook. And let me fix that. And so it should be very interesting to see. I'm looking forward to the first episode, and you better believe when that first episode comes out, I'll be promoting it on the WSE Lounge and tell the fans to watch, and I'll promote on WSE Lounge News as well. That's just a group, but it's a group of all the fans that like the WSE Lounge. They can go there and see different advertisements of wrestling organizations going on, having their events, and music stars and soap stars and everything in between. But I'll tell you,
I gotta say, man, listening, seeing how the WSE Lounge has grown over the years, and I mean how the respect you have for not just your not just the people who you interview, but your listeners. You really have a great way with everybody. So, there's some big shoes to fill in starting your own podcast, following you as an act, Brian. So I'm really glad. I really appreciate your words, and I hope I can live up to what some of what you've done.
well, I'll tell you what. That's an honor. Coming from you, Chris. That's an honor, and I really do appreciate that. I was told by one wrestling promoter. He compared me to Jim Ross, and that was a very big compliment in itself. Before this show ends, I do want to say one thing. For the fans out there that aren't aware, Jim Ross's wife unexpectedly passed away after a bad vehicle accident last week. Her name was Jill Ross, and the WSE Lounge's condolences and prayers go out to good old JR and his family. It was great to see Jim Ross announced the Undertaker's last match, because he said that's something that Jill would have wanted him to do, and to go to WrestleMania weekend and do that, and that's great that he did that. But I just want to thank you for those kind words, Chris, and thank you for being on the show today. And as always, like I told John White when he was on here the other day, he goes to my church, and he's a painter and a Star Wars collector. Your photo will be added in the archives with the album of all these other great legends we've had on the show. So be looking for that. But I'll put the link on your timeline, and this episode will also be going up on the WSC Lounge YouTube channel, so you can check that out and watch it on there, watch it on the timeline, or ever how you want to watch it. You can even go outside and ride down the road and hold the phone outside the window and watch it if you want to do. But any way you want to watch it, you can watch it. But it was very great to chit chat with you and talk with you on today's show, Chris. It was an honor to have you on. I couldn't have had anybody on any better. Like I said, I've been knowing you for over 15 years, and it's just wonderful to finally have you on the show. And thank you so much for being on. And I'll be sure and check out that podcast you got coming up Thursday at 5 p.m. So I'll be sure and check that out. And anybody out there that wants to follow Chris, you got a Twitter handle, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, or anything like that? I mean,
on Twitter, you can look me up. I'm Techmaster Chris. All one word, Techmaster Chris. You can also, Techmaster Chris at Twitter. Well, at Techmaster Chris on Twitter. Got any questions? Feel free to inbox me, whatever. But I'm glad to reach out to you, and hope you'll reach back into me. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on, Chris, and it was a wonderful show, and I'll post on your timeline. I hope you have a great week, and God bless.
You too. Thank you, sir.
Okay. You too. Take care.
All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a good friend of mine I've been knowing for over 15 years. That was Chris Wilkerson. He is a soap insider. He is a wrestling insider. He's an actor for theater. He has a degree in philosophy or psychology. And he's also a comic book collector. I mean, there's so many things that I could, say as a title, but he's a arc of all trades, craft of all trades.